On this video, let's talk about being stuck in relationship and creating a plan to get unstuck. Stay tuned. I'm Robarge, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Welcome to the new Love Addiction, where we are not talking about addiction. We are talking about attachment injuries and healing attachment trauma. And on this video, very specifically, let's talk about feeling stuck in a relationship and needing a plan, a practical plan, a solution-focused plan to get unstuck. And how I am defining getting unstuck here for the sake of this video, I mean ending the relationship, that it is time to end. So this assumes that you have gone through chapter and iterations or cycles. You've gone through these cycles of maybe you should try XYZ, maybe you should try ABC, maybe you should go to counseling, maybe you and your partner should go to counseling, maybe you need to read a book, maybe you need to completely be aloof and distant and just go on about your business, maybe you need to sit down and have yet another heart-to-heart talk. And there's this constant confusion. Should you stay? Should you leave? Should you stay? Should you leave? And even when you think about leaving, you might arrive at the place of saying, you know it's over, you know you need to leave, and you are noticing very palpably, very strongly that you do not have the skill to leave. You just cannot leave. You cannot leave. So this video is going to acknowledge some things to think about as you create a plan for leaving. Let's acknowledge one reason why it is so challenging to leave is since we are talking about this in context of attachment injuries and attachment trauma, is that chances are you have some unresolved attachment trauma that is linked to abandonment, being ignored, the fear of abandonment. And there's this idea that if we are going to leave this relationship, it will just immediately trigger and activate the profound, uncomfortable, painful, horrible feelings of being rejected and abandoned. Even if you're the one who's ending the relationship, it will still trigger those feelings. And we also are rather, whether you're conscious of this or not, whether you are sensitive to this or not, but if you have a history where you were in some way abandoned or ignored, where it had significant impact to the point where you hang on to relationships no matter what, and you have this great fear of the feelings of abandonment, then we also have a sensitivity to not wishing that on the other person, that we assume that by initiating and ending and leaving the relationship that we are actually abandoning our partner. And we have this loyalty, this extreme loyalty to want to protect our partner from what was done to us, and that we're projecting our abandonment issues and our history of abandonment onto the other person. And we perceive, again, this could be very behind the scenes subconscious, that we want to protect, how could I possibly inflict that level of hurt and abandonment onto the other person? And so therefore I'm finding I have this psychological, this subconscious drive that's keeping me from leaving. So the first step here, in as we begin to think of a plan and think about leaving a relationship, is to remind yourself that you're not abandoning anybody. You're leaving a relationship. And as an adult, as a mature adult, you have permission to leave a relationship. So this is not about you betraying somebody. This is not about you screwing somebody over. This is not about you abandoning somebody. This is not about you rejecting a person and crushing a person's spirit. All of that extreme, heightened judgments, those extreme judgments, that this is culminating in some rather profound rejection of the other person's sense of self and who they are as a human being. That's not what you are doing. That's not what any of us are doing. We are ending a relationship. There is a reality to all of this. Everything is impermanent. All relationships end. Maybe your relationship will end after 6 months. Maybe it will end after 6 years. Maybe it will end after 42 years when someone gets hit by a bus and they die. Nonetheless, the relationship has ended at that point, or we could at least say the relationship has dramatically changed if your partner has died. So these changes, the realities of impermanence, say that everything changes. So we're not shocked by this. We're not surprised. So this whole idea that, unfortunately through history and through the ages, this idea of marriage and relationship being forever really flies in the face of reality, because nothing is forever. Everything is changing constantly. That is the part of what it's like to be in our world. There's a constant death and rebirth, death and rebirth. The seasons are changing. So we can align ourselves with the reality that relationships end. And if it's time for yours to end, we have to be honest with ourselves. You have to be honest with yourself and say, well, it's ending. This is not some grand, profound gesture of rejection. This is not some wildly hurtful expression of abandonment towards your partner. You're simply ending. Now, your job is to end well. Your job is to end skillfully. Your job is to end with kindness. Your job is to end with consciousness, to make choices and do it in a way where there's the least amount of hurt, where there's the least amount of damage, where there's the least amount of drama. So we know relationships end. You can be skillful about it, and you need to think about a plan. And that's where we flip into a kind of solution-focused mode to say, if you are stuck, how do you get unstuck? And I want you to think about the meaning of relationship. One way that we are going to explore how to get unstuck is to look at, well, what exactly does the relationship give you? What is the meaning that you're getting out of that? And then we take that information and we apply it. You have personal choice, or you have this personal homework. You have to then do homework and saying, how can you substitute getting your needs met, getting what you're getting from the relationship? How do you proactively find other ways to get those needs met, as a way to buffer and support you in making the transition of the ending? And I can make this easier to understand by giving you an example. Let's talk about smoking. There are a number of people who they have been smoking for years. They are in relationship to smoking. They're in relationship to nicotine. They are in relationship to the behavior of smoking. And one day they say to themselves, they realize, hey, I want to end my relationship with smoking. So do they just end? No. If they do, chances are they're not going to be able to sustain it. They're not going to be able to follow through with the ending, because they have not put any thought into the plan of how are they going to help themselves. They need very real concrete plan of how are they going to stop smoking. Now, I am not talking about weaning yourself off of nicotine, which of course is a part of smoking, if I'm using that as an example. I'm talking about, what did smoking give them? What does smoking provide? So an example would be that many people smoke as a activity, a social activity, and it provides a component of socialization, getting their socialization needs met. I once had a friend who smokes, and she shared with me, because she travels a lot for business, and she said she can go to any city, wherever she's at, and she can stand in front of whatever building she's in, and she can guarantee that there will be some other people standing in front of that building who are smoking, and they're taking a break, they're having a moment. It's a leisure moment. It's a relaxing moment. And it comes with a community that there's part of the culture of smoking is that you walk up to another smoker and say, hey, do you have a light? Can I borrow your lighter? Or it's part of the culture that you're able to, strike up a conversation. And the conversation is only going to last for 5 minutes or for 10 minutes, however long that you're out there. But it guarantees that you get these mini breaks throughout the day. You get the ability to take a break from whatever you're doing, and you get a connection with other people. So let's use this as the example. If you say, or if a person who wants to quit smoking says they're going to quit smoking, to quit smoking is saying, well, you're going to do without 3 smoke breaks a day, which means 3 times that you're getting your social needs met, 3 times that you're getting your relational needs met, 3 times that you're having an opportunity to strike up a conversation with maybe people you see all the time when you go smoking, or they could be strangers, some new people. But you're also you're giving up taking 3 breaks a day, just the breaking up your day. So we could look at all of those things and we will say, you need to substitute something new that's equally inviting and equally satisfying. Because if you do not do that, you're going, the degree of what you now are going without, you're not only giving up the physical cigarette, you're not only giving up the nicotine, but now you're giving up a component of your social life. You're giving up a way to communicate with other people. And you're giving up taking breaks throughout the day. So if you want to quit smoking, you would need to find ways to satisfy those needs so that it's not, that you're not being deprived, that you're not going without. So that's the setup. That's what I want to apply here to this idea of, leave your relationship. How do you leave your relationship? And to create a plan is to think about, well, what are you giving up? What are you saying goodbye to in addition to the person, in addition to the struggle and strife, in addition to the unmet needs, in addition to the drama, if your relationship has a component of drama, all the reasons why you're essentially unhappy. Of course, you're giving that up. But you could also, we assume you're getting something out of the relationship. So a homework assignment or a very practical solution-focused approach is to say, get your journal, get a piece of paper, and bullet point out what are you getting. And I'm going to give you some examples of things that are perhaps a bit common or things to think about that might also be on your list. So the first one is domestic life, a domestic experience. And that could look many different ways, but I'm going to translate that into and talk about, let's say you and your partner really enjoy barbecuing, and you and your partner prepare the dinner together, and you and your partner go grocery shopping, and it's a whole event, and you have created a shared experience of preparing the dinner, everything leading up to the dinner, and that includes, your particular thing that you and your partner like to do is barbecuing. So if you leave the relationship and when it ends, we would say one thing that you're losing and you're going to go without is you're not going to have the same ongoing opportunity to prepare dinner. You're not going to have the same ongoing opportunity to go shopping together, and you're not going to have the same opportunity to barbecue together. So that whole experience, that's a loss, and there's grief in that. So here's what I'm offering as a practical tool. Same example I gave with smoking, that if you could figure out, well, how can you still get those needs met only in a different context? So what that means is it is important to you to plan meals. It is important to you to share the meal experience. Your domestic life experience of sharing a meal is important. And very specifically, it's important to barbecue. You like doing this, and it's a way of really enjoying having a life together. Well, if you know that your relationship is over, and if you know it is time to end your relationship, and at the same time, you're going to be missing out on that experience of having, sharing the creation of a meal and sharing, very specifically, barbecuing. Well, your response to that is, how can you create that in your life? Who else do you know? What neighbors do you have? What friends do you have in your life? What organizations do you know of where you can participate in having the experience of creating a meal? And even, if it's literally barbecuing, if you need to, barbecue, you could do that in other ways so that you're still giving yourself an experience, so that you don't get too caught up in the fact that you're losing it with your partner. Now, I imagine, because I've heard it, I've heard it very directly. I imagine you're watching this video and you might say, yeah, okay, great, but that's not the same. It's not the same to sure, I could barbecue with a neighbor, but it's not the same as barbecuing with my partner, because we're partners and because we love each other, and we, when it's good, it's good. When we get along, we get along. We like, barbecuing, and it's just not going to be the same to do it with a neighbor. And I agree with you. I'm not challenging that. It's not going to be the same. It might be lackluster. It might be less than. But that does not discredit my point. That does not mean, well, don't do it at all. You might need to do it 3 times or 5 times, or do it for 4 months, or however long you might need to do it in a way that's going to feel disappointing. It is going to feel lackluster. It will not feel like the same level of connection that you have with your partner when you have a shared domestic life together. But we are acknowledging it's a kind of good faith action to say, well, you need some connection. You need to share domestic life with someone. And if you cannot do it with your partner, and you're consciously choosing to end the relationship, then perhaps you could put some effort and energy into go ahead and plan to get those needs met somewhere else. And it's very possible that it will not deliver in the complete satisfying sense that you would hope it to deliver the way it does with your partner. But that's not why we're doing it. We're not doing it so it's 100% satisfying. We're not doing it because it's a complete substitute. We're doing it as a way to consciously acknowledge that you can empower yourself, that you can have agency, that you can invest in ways to take care of yourself at this very difficult time, instead of feeling helpless, instead of feeling stuck, instead of being a victim, instead of just staying at home and never barbecuing, staying at home and eating a box of cereal because you have made 0 plans to have a nice meal with anybody. So what we are doing is mapping out what are you losing in your current relationship, and how can you, as a transitional period of time, as a crutch, as a tool, as a way to help give yourself support, recreate or create anew the things that you're giving up, and satisfy them in other areas. Another thing to think about when we end a relationship, assuming there's a certain level of touch in your relationship, you might be giving up touch. And for some people, that creates a lot of confusion. And maybe it is sexual touch. And for the sake of this video, I'm going to create a boundary and say, well, let's not use that as an example. I'm not going to talk about sexual touch, but other kind of touching that's, being hugged, having someone hold your hand in the movie, patting someone on the back, or you get, your partner pats you on the back. Let's assume you can identify and say, if you end this relationship and you get unstuck, you're going to go without touch. and it might create some confusion and make you get sucked back into staying because you're going to be touch deprived, or you perceive that you're going to be depriving yourself of that touch. So a practical solution-focused approach is to say, well, you need more touch. And if you end this relationship, how can you get more touch in your life? Well, a component of massage therapy, a major point of massage therapy is because we value touch and because we know the importance of being touched. So it might mean for 6 weeks, for 3 months, however the duration of time, it might mean for you that you have to put very conscious effort into saying, well, you're giving up touch with your partner, you're giving up touch in your relationship, but you are a human being who wants to be touched, and you want to realize that you're not completely giving that up, and that partner is not the only place where you can receive touch. So one way that you could do this is go to a massage therapist. Some people go to the salon or the barber to get your hair cut, to be touched. There's some barbers that, will give you a massage, that's part of, or you get a hot towel on your face, and, or if you get a pedicure, a manicure, and you get a massage, a hand massage, all of those things are going into realizing as a human being, you're getting touched. Now, again, is getting touched, getting a hand massage when you're getting a manicure, is that the same as holding your hand, having your partner hold your hand in the movies? No, of course not. We're not saying that it is. And it might feel a bit lackluster, it might feel less than the experience of getting your hand held. But that's not the point. We're not pitting them against each other, and we're not saying that, it has to be an equal substitute. We're saying you can empower yourself to take care of yourself, to give yourself nurturance. And so that when the relationship ends, when it's time to get unstuck, when you're moving on with your life, and you realize all these things that you're saying goodbye to, you can very proactively begin to find avenues and find ways to give yourself those things that you're not going to be getting in your relationship. And that could help the transition go more smoothly. That could help you, that could help buffer and soften, the blow, or soften the falling apart experience and the grief that you're going to be experiencing at this time when you move forward and realize that you're leaving the relationship. Something else that we receive in our relationships have to do some kind of social outlet and social function, that we just have a built-in person to go to the movies with. We have a built-in person to say, hey, what are we doing on Sunday afternoon? Hey, I know, let's go for a drive. Let's go check out XYZ, whatever it is. Let's go to the ocean. Let's walk on the beach on the ocean. So if you are giving up a companion and someone to do social activities, well, then it's very clear what you need to do before you end. Is you have to think about, how do you increase the opportunities to find people to do social things with? And that you have to the same way that with your partner, that you have a built-in person very spontaneously to go to dinner, to just go grocery shopping, to run errands with. It might be right now you make an effort to reach out to other people and say, hey, I was thinking of running errands. Do you want to join me? I was thinking of taking a day trip and going to check out this state park and maybe go hiking in the park. Would you like to go hiking with me? Now, again, this might feel a little forced. It might not feel as spontaneous and organic as you would like. And the response to that is, well, who cares? That's not the point. Put a little effort into it, because at the end of the day, when you do these things, you're going to be able to say, yes, you had some social connection. Yes, you had some form of touch in your life. Yes, you had a shared domestic experience with some people or another family, and you're still getting those needs met. I don't know if you'll get those needs satisfied, but at least you're attempting to meet them in a way that you're not completely going without. Lastly, another category, another idea to think about has to do with a way to feel needed. That we're in relationship and we like that we can do laundry for our partner. We like that we can buy our partner a gift. We like that we are able to help. Our partner needs help with something. So sure, honey, I'll help you with that. So we are able to offer help, and as a result, we feel needed. If you end your relationship, if you choose to be unstuck and move forward, you're not going to have a place where you feel as needed. So you need to think about, how do you get that met? How do you get the need to feel needed met? It's by volunteering your help. It's by offering to support others at a time so that it helps you feel connected. Very simply, volunteer at an animal shelter, and help the animals. Volunteer premature babies who need to be held, and so you volunteer at the hospital and you hold these babies because they need 24-hour care. Whatever it is, there's a myriad of, you could choose anything, but it's a way to realize that the place of giving support, your place of offering support to another person so that you feel needed, does not only have to come from your relationship and does not only have to be directed at your partner. And if you know that you're ending, if you know it's time to get unstuck, and it is important to feel, when we feel needed, we feel connected. And when we feel needed, we feel valued. So if you want to feel more valued and you want to feel more connected, then put conscious effort into doing something else for others that will also help you manage the grief of giving that up in your relationship. So I hope that this video was helpful. It is by no means an exhaustive list of all the losses and everything that you're giving up. And it is by no means an exhaustive approach of things that you need to think about with regards to ending a relationship. On a very practical level, thinking about financial situation and thinking about, just the logistics of leaving. I mean, it's becoming a planner. You're becoming an event planner to say, if you leave this relationship, there's going to be a whole series of choices and decision making and organizing and figuring out how to actually make this happen. So I did not focus that much on this video about that piece. I wanted to really hone in on and to think about what are you giving up? And what are all the losses? And you could, some of those, not all of them, but some of them you can buffer the intensity of the loss by creating some substitute, something else that will at least attempt to simulate the giving up, what you're giving up in the relationship. So I hope that this was helpful. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to watch more videos just like it. And also you can join a Facebook group called The New Love Addiction if you want to talk to some other people about these ideas. And then lastly, to learn more about me, you can go to my website, which is alanrobarge.com. I do work with clients remotely via the phone, and if you are interested in learning more about that, please go to my website. So until the next video, thank you. I will see you next time.